Hey everyone, it is Emily here, and I'm bringing you my April TBR, and ooh, it's a doozy. So there are a couple of readathons happening this month, and so I'm going to include them in my TBR for April, and I'm going to do those first, and then I will talk about the other books I plan to read throughout April. So first we have your EReader-a-thon, which is all throughout April. And so it's not like you have 1 week to read it. It's just a readathon just to kind of catch up on all the books on your e-reader that you've been neglecting for forever. And there's different challenges that go along with it. And I think there's like 13 challenges. I'm only going to do a few, and I'm combining a few of the challenges. But here are the books I plan to read all throughout this month for the Read Your E-Reader-a-thon, and I'll leave the links down below and above here and everywhere so that you can join in as well. So I'm going to read Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, and this is the first book in the Fallen Kingdoms series. And this book covers several of the challenges for me. The first one being of a specific length, like over 300 pages, and I think this is like 500 pages long or something like that, so it definitely works for that challenge. It also works for the challenge for an author new to me, because I've never read this author before, and it works for the challenge of the first book in a series. So I got 3 challenges all in one in this book. Another challenge is to read the book most recently downloaded onto your e-reader, and the most recently downloaded for me is The Scarlet Thread by Francine Rivers. She is one of my favorite Christian authors, and actually one of the only Christian authors I'll read, and this was on sale for Kindle for like crazy cheap, so I decided to download it, and so yeah, I'm going to be trying to dig into this book this month. The next challenge will be a sequel to a book, and I don't know if technically this is a sequel. It's a companion novella to the Daughter, Smoke and Bone trilogy, so I feel like it kind of counts, and it's short, and so I should be able to go through it pretty quickly. And this is The Night of Cake and Puppets by Laini Taylor, and I believe this is about some of the side characters, which I'm super excited because some of the side characters in Daughter, Smoke and Bone trilogy are the best ones. And then finally, the other challenge I'm going to be doing for the Read Your TBR-a-thon is read a book with a white cover, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I'm actually going to be switching back and forth between this edition and another edition that I bought at a used bookstore because it's just so pretty and cool. But this is the pick for my book club for April, and I'm super excited about it, and so we're going to be reading this book anyway, so we're adding it along with the Read Your E-Reader-a-thon, and I'm super excited to get into Jane Eyre because I've been wanting to read it for so long, and I've kept on attempting, and it hasn't happened, so now I have no excuse to not read this book. And then the next read-a-thon is the Genrethon, which takes place the 10th through 17th. And the purpose of the Genrethon is basically to read a variety of genres and just to kind of spice up your life and keep things mixed up. I'll leave links for all that down below as well, so you can participate in that. And the minimum is to read 3 books, and during that week I'm going to be road tripping to another state for a wedding, so I wasn't sure how much time I'd have, but I figured I could at least attempt the 3-book minimum. So the first one I'm going to try and do is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and this is actually Mari's book for Read with Martinez. This is her book for April. We're all going to be reading along with this book together, and I will leave the link for her Goodreads group for that down below. Holy cow, there's a lot of links for this video. Oh my goodness. And I'm actually going to be reading this as an audiobook. I was able to download the audiobook on Audible, read by Rosamund Pike for this one. And since I'm so familiar with Pride and Prejudice already, I thought it would be a really cool and different way to experience the story. And I'm super excited about it. And so that will be my first book for the Genrethon because I can be listening to that as I'm driving to and from work and also on my road trip. And it's just going to be delightful. The second book I'm going to read for the Genrethon is Persepolis 2. I read the first one last month for March, and this is the sequel. It is a graphic novel, but it's also a memoir. And so I thought it'd be kind of a cool, different genre to throw in for my Genrethon TBR. And yeah, and since it's a graphic novel, I'm going to breeze through this in like a day or two. And then the final book I'll read for the Genrethon, I mean I might do more if I have time, will be, it's either going to be Bone Crossed by Patricia Briggs, or it's going to be another Chicagoland Vampires books, because they're urban fantasy, they're short, I get through them really, really quickly, and it's just a great series. And then I'll read Bone Crossed at some point this month anyway, because this is good for my diverse books project, since Mercy Thompson is Native American, although Persepolis also works for my diverse books project as well. And yeah, this is the 4th book in the Mercy Thompson series, and yeah, this series keeps getting better every book, and I'm really excited to get into this one. Whew, okay, so now for all of the other books I plan to read this month. I don't know why I keep putting so many books on my TBR, but I just can't help it. There's so many books to read, and I want to read them all. I also plan to read Atonement by Ian McKellen. I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I fail at pronouncing names. I'm a terrible booktuber. But basically, I've been wanting to read this book for a while. I know it's historical fiction. I think it's like World War II. My mom was watching it on Netflix the other day when I came back from work, and I was like, no, I don't want to watch the movie until I read the book. And so I kind of just ignored what was happening on the screen. And then the next day, one of my friends texted me and was like, hey, have you read Atonement? It looks really interesting, and I wanted to ask. And I'm like, okay, I think that's a sign from the universe that I need to read Atonement. So I checked it out from the library, so hopefully I'll be getting to this sometime this month. And then we have The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. This book is all over BookTube. It's fantasy, it's diverse, and every video I've seen talking about this book has just made me more and more convinced that I have to read it. It just looks so good. And so basically it's about this girl who is a chosen one, because it's fantasy, there's always a chosen one, and she's 16 and she's married off to this guy she doesn't want to get married to. And honestly, I can't remember a whole lot about the plot right now. I'm a terrible booktuber. I'm sorry. I should do a video on why I'm a terrible booktuber. I'm going to add that to my list for Veda. But basically, it looks fantastic. I'm finally going to read it, guys. I promise. I also plan on rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. The second book, A Court of something, I don't remember right now. My mind is blanking because it's morning and I need more coffee. But the next book comes out in May, and I wanted to give this book a reread. I remember when this book first came out, I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as the Throne of Glass series, and I saw that there were some problems, but I genuinely enjoyed it. And then a bunch of people were talking about how awful it was, and I kind of jumped on the hating A Court of Thorns and Roses train, but then I was like, wait a minute. When I read it, I did actually enjoy it. And so now that it's been like a year since I've read it, I want to give it a reread and just kind of refresh my memory, looking at it more critically, but also kind of deciding for myself my thoughts on it before the next book comes out. And then also, it's just, I like reading the latest book before the newest one comes out, because that way it's all fresh in your mind. You're not spending half the next book reading, thinking about, okay, wait, what happened before? So, yeah. Then, if I have time, I'm going to read A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab, and I picked it up last month, and I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. So, hopefully I'll be getting to this in April, because everyone's read it, and I haven't yet. So, yeah, I should be getting to it. I really hope that she digs deeper into the story and the characters, because I feel like there's so much potential that was barely scratched in the first book. So I really hope that it gets a little bit deeper. And now, finally, we'll do my TBR wine glass and see what book has been sitting on my shelves for way too long that I need to read and get to ASAP. Alrighty. Once and Future King. So hopefully the book I can get to from my TBR wine glass is the Once and Future King by T.H. White. A few years ago, a friend of mine said that since I like fantasy, I would really enjoy this book. It's King Arthur, and I do love me some King Arthur, and so I bought this book, but then I just never read it. I mean, seriously, I think it's been sitting on my shelves for like 3 years or something. really crazy. So I'm finally going to get to this book about King Arthur. It's kind of thick, so hopefully I'll have time to read it. Why do I make such a big TBR for myself? I'm slightly intimidated. Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to pick up this pile because it looks super heavy. So the end of April might be a TBR fail video. I don't know. I can do it. I can do it, guys. I can do this. I hope. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and since it's vlog everyday April, I will see you tomorrow. I love your faces. Bye.